What's going on, everybody? We are back with the ABJ Podcast with Dan Stofko. Sorry, almost butchered already. He's going to come in here and yell at me. But Sugar Dan, but it's going to be really, really fun. So, guys, really want you to check out the links below to support not just me, but my guest links, merchandise, all that stuff is available. Tons and tons of new merchandise is always dropping over on the ABJ side on Teespring, as well as the TeePublic has a bunch of stuff that'll always be there. Some of that stuff may start falling off, because we're going to make some of those other logos a little more exclusive and only drop at certain times. Also, tons and tons of content is available right now. So even though there's an episode that you can see there that's membership only, make sure you go check it out. We have $1 to support. We have the $5 tier, which is going to get you all that content early. And we have enough 5 questions with ABJ that's going to go into next year already. So there's one every Friday from now till I think February next year, with more coming always. Every time I go out on a weekend, I record more 5 questions, and they just keep that backlog going. So you pay that $5 membership, you're going to see a lot of content through and through, and you're going to see it before everybody else does. There's new banging beers on there that no one's going to see yet. We're recording some 5 questions with ABJ, as well as Truth Behind Illusion, Blazing Buds. It's all going to be there. Tons and tons of content. See it before everybody else and support the channel. It helps me out tremendously. That's all the housekeeping and all that stuff out of the way. Let's have some fun with this interview. Met this person at PPW. Very insanely talented. Got to see them work a couple times, and as they just keep every show I go to, I missed a couple months. I came back, seen them again, bulked up even more. I didn't even think it was possible. And boy, they are insanely impressive. I can't wait to hear their story. So without further ado, let's bring them in. Let's bring in Sugar. Every time I say that name, I think it System of a Down. Sugar. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for doing this. Super exciting. Yeah. So tell people who you are and what you do.
I am Sugar Dan Stofko. I am a professional wrestler on the East Coast. I'm located in PA, just outside of Reading, Pennsylvania, but I'm kind of training-wise, I'm out of Maryland, but I'm kind of all over the place right now on the East Coast, so just trying to make it.
So you travel from Reading to Maryland to train?
So I did for the longest time. I actually have a ring in my backyard.
Wow.
So side yard, not exact backyard. So I can pretty much train every single day out there. But for quite a bit, I used to do it every weekend. I would drive about 3 hours for training Saturdays and Sundays, help set up at shows and stuff. So, yeah.
How long have you been in the industry and working and training and performing?
So actually in the industry, it's been just about about a year and a month. Yeah, so I got a ring, and it was delivered wintertime of 23. 22, I think. And I got the ring up with my dad. We built that night 2 of WrestleMania last year. So when Cody lost to Roman, we got that built up. So I started bumping like I feel like every kid does, but I was just way older in the backyard, got a mattress, stuff like that. But ring-wise, I started then, kind of taught myself as much as I could. I'm very blessed as an athlete, so I was able to pick up on some stuff, studied my you-know-what off to try to figure some things out. Got a little bit decent on my own, and then I got an opportunity to train down at Riot City in Sykesville, Maryland, under Nick Sick and Taylor. And that happened I started, I think, September 1st of last year.
Wow. That is unbelievable. So much to unpack there, and we will deep dive into that, trust me. So when did you fall? I mean, obviously this has to be probably a long time ago, but when did you fall in love with this industry?
Man, so my first memories when I fell in love with it, and I actually did research in the past because I used to have a podcast with one of my best friends, and it was all about wrestling. And we talked about our first memories and how we fell in love. So I was like, I got to figure this out because in my mind it's Friday Night SmackDown, and turns out it's not right. It was Saturday night's main event. I'm a diehard Phillies fan. My dad is as well. My whole family is, and we're watching the Phillies. They go into rain delay. So my dad's flipping the channels and stuff. He comes across Saturday night's main event. He puts it on. And the first memory I have is DX versus Spirit Squad, with the one side of the steel cage. And I was hooked. I watched the rest of that night's episode. It ended with John Cena and Edge and Lita, and I think Ric Flair might have been in it. And I was just hooked. And then after that, it's every Friday night watching it. And I just knew back then that's what I wanted to do. And, every kid, they kind of go through their phases, right? Like something happens, you stop watching for a little bit, but I always came back to it. And
we have something in common. Both of our memories are tag team matches with Shawn Michaels in it. So my first one is WrestleMania 3, and when the Rock. So my memory has always been it's the Rockers, and it was like it felt like they ran through the crowd.
Mhm.
And I remember them wrestling two huge guys, and they get their asses kicked. But the whole time I was like, I love these guys. They're really cool. They're like nobody else. They sold and they bumped so well. I didn't even know what any of that meant. I was so young and dating myself. But here I found out it was WrestleMania 3, and they wrestled, I think, like Earthquake and Typhoon or something like that, or Tugboat, and they get killed. They get destroyed. Right. But it was like, and from that moment on, I was a Shawn guy, and I was hooked on wrestling. That's super sick. Now, was your dad always into wrestling?
No, he was like as a kid, but he like I don't want to say despised it, but he didn't care for it for like my entire life. It wasn't until I graduated college. So I don't want to go to college or any of that. I got some money to go play baseball in college. And like my family told me, like, you get your degree, we're gonna help support you in wrestling. I'm like, all right. And every year, every semester, I try to, quit, and they wouldn't let me. My coach wouldn't let me. I had my car packed up, and he wouldn't let me. But once I graduated, like I told him, like, hey, I'm doing this. And it wasn't until my first backyard match, he saw how much time I prepped for it, and because I took it serious even then, and he saw like there was some raw talent there, and after that, he was like, he couldn't be more supportive. And to this day, like, he won't sit down and watch, other wrestling, but he wants to be at every show of mine that he can be. Like, my entire family is the best support system I could ever ask for.
So is this something that like you became absolutely obsessed at that moment, and it just never went away? Like you never had a moment where like wrestling wasn't always in the goal?
I think there was like different ways I wanted to get to it. Like in my mind, like I was training some martial arts for a while, and in my mind I was like, I'll do the reverse Ronda Rousey, the reverse Brock Lesnar, because this was even like before Riddle did it. And I was like, I'm just gonna go become like UFC champion, and then at that point, I'm just gonna go to Japan and wrestle in New Japan. Like it was always the end goal was to go wrestle somehow. Like I'll just go make like millions of dollars, and then I'll go wrestle. But yeah, it was always going to be wrestling somehow, some way. I didn't know how, but it was going to be.
Now, when you talk about like wanting to quit and you're playing baseball and you're in college and stuff, what about being in college and going through that process that you just despise so much that you always wanted to like get out of there?
I hated school. Like I hate to say it, I felt like I was wasting time and money because I was like, I know I don't need this. Cause like the school, like I'm not to talk trash or anything, but like my school, I had a library in college for a year. My sophomore year on, we didn't have a library. So I'm like, they're not taking it serious. And like, they messed up my major situation and stuff. So my major, I'm in communications. I have a communications degree. Everything I've done, and I have utilized it, is self-taught for the most part. And it's just, I don't think college is necessarily for everybody. I didn't love the person I had become for a while. Like I felt like I kind of lost myself. I loved baseball though, but like after my sophomore year, I was injury riddled. So it's like, I couldn't even really do that. And when I wasn't healthy. I wasn't who I was. So it was kind of a, can I curse on this or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was a mind fuck, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to go be here, but I'm doing this and I'm at this level instead of that level. It was just like a lot going on at once. But I had again, my family was amazing. My coaches were some of the best people you could ever ask for. My head coach, like I said, wouldn't let me leave. My car was packed. He would not let me leave. And I talked to him at the end of my junior year. He asked me what I want to do after college. I told him I'm going to go be a wrestler. And turns out he was a little bit of a fan. So he was so supportive of it as well. So very blessed.
It is pretty wild when you come across someone who also is a pro wrestling fan, because it's still, even though like in the world of wrestling right now, wrestling is the coolest it's ever been. Like, it's so, in our brain, it's huge. Like, there's wrestling on every day, it's a very popular time to be a wrestling fan. But for how many people are fans, there's just as many people who absolutely think it's the biggest piece of shit joke industry of all time. And when you find that people who actually get it and understand it, you're like, oh, this is we're the same. Like, it's
what's
a weird
with you.
Yeah, like, you're weird too. Cool. Yeah. That's wild. So, what type of kid were you growing up? You obviously big baseball fan, into sports, played a lot of sports.
I loved all, and I still do. Like, I'm a massive fan of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, mixed martial arts. Just, I mean, a nerd. Like one of those. I was in a weird situation where I'm an athlete, but I'm a nerd. But I'm a homebody. Like, I used to get into art. Like, I would get into screaming arguments with my mom, but it would be over not wanting to go out. Like, she would try to force me to go hang out with people. Like, no. Like,
you are a fucking Von Erich. Look at you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But
we'll come back to that.
Yeah, we will. Like, I make jokes to my youngest sister all the time. Like, I walk so you could run, because she's the same way as me. Like, she doesn't want to go out. And like, my friends are having parties, and it's like, I don't drink. I don't do any of that stuff. Like, I want to stay home and either watch SmackDown or watch Being the Elite or something along those lines. Like, I don't want to go out and socialize with people. And like, those were what our arguments were over. But no, like, I was an athlete, playing all kinds of different sports and watching all kinds of sports, watching wrestling, just, I mean, nerding out over Star Wars and Rocky and shit like that. But yeah.
So Phillies just said you're wearing a Notre Dame t-shirt. Who are some of your teams? Who else do you support?
I'm a Bills fan.
Okay.
That
we both had some pretty big wins last night, so congratulations.
Yes,
I'm a Washington fan. I was watching the game last night. I was like, who is this team? Because this is not the Washington team I've been watching for 30 years.
Oh yeah, dude! Congratulations on that. I'm very happy for you guys.
Oh, I hope this is it. I hope we have a future quarterback. I'm so sick of every 3 years we lose a quarterback, and then we have that season where we rotate 5 quarterbacks. Like, it looks. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, because last time I felt this confident with RG3, and then we all know how that ended.
But no, I'm a Phillies fan. I'm like a Philly sports fan, but so my uncle coaches in the NFL. He's currently with the Dolphins, but so like growing up, I grew up when I was born into being a Panthers fan on my mom's side, and I was like so young that it was just like my grandma and mom were supporting him, so it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be a Panthers fan.
Did he play for the Panthers?
I'm sorry.
Was he player for the Panthers?
He was coaching.
Coaching, okay.
Yeah, he was coaching, and then he went to the Lions, so it's like, oh, that sucks. I guess I'll go be a Lions fan. But it was like kind of one of those where it's like, you get out of a long relationship, and you're like with somebody, and you're like, this kind of sucks.
And the Panthers have cool colors. They have a cool logo. The Panthers, like in '95, were the coolest shit ever. Like,
I have signed balls, jerseys. Like, I want them to do good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have so much love for them and that stadium, like everything about them.
Who doesn't love Steve Smith?
Right. And like, I got to meet all those guys. So it's like, I was so connected with that team. Then he's with the Lions for a few years, and it was just like miserable. And then he lets us know he's done there. Like, okay, like, I don't think he was fired, but they both kind of came to terms. And he's like, we're in the works with something. I'll let you know when I can. I was like, all right. At that point, I was about to turn like 12. I was like, wherever he goes, this is going to be my team for the rest of my life. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And about a week later, he signs with the Buffalo Bills. Like, big time drought at that point. I was like, oh no. But
can you go to a team I can cheer for?
Right. But immediately, I was just enamored with everything about the fan base, the team, great uniforms, colors, and like, I love everything about the Buffalo Bills. Like,
if you're a pro wrestling fan, their fan base is right up your alley. They put each other through tables.
Yes, like that's the thing. Like, what more could I ask for? And like, truthfully, Philly and Buffalo fans are like
very similar.
Right, they're neck and neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like best.
They're a little more classier than Philly fans, even though I like me some Philly fans. As a heel in wrestling, it's always like I've learned to love Philly fans. I hated them growing up because I'm a Washington fan, so they've always been rivals. And because I'm a Washington fan, I never really followed any of their sport. I just gravitated to disliking Philly as a sports city in general. But as I grew up and started doing more wrestling shows and like growing up with Philly fans around me, I'm like, they're not that bad. They're just they're extreme. Like I love their passion. I love the fact that win, lose, or draw, they support their team. They can tell you everything about their team. Like Giant fans, no disrespect, but all the disrespect in the world. You only hear Giants fans when they're good. When the Giants suck, no one's Giants fans. Like Phillies, when they're terrible, you know they're Philly fans because they're still going to tell you how terrible their team is and everything they can do right, and still tell you everyone on the practice squad, tell you you know what I mean. Cowboy fans, I have nothing for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only team. Like, I kind of grew up to a point where I just follow sports. I like my teams, but win, lose, or draw, I don't really care. I just enjoy watching sports. And I can find a player or a thing about every team that I can support and like, and except Dallas. Dallas and USC. Like, there's no redeemable qualities.
Thank you. Fuck USC. Like there's so I'm not an Eagles fan per se. My dad is an Eagles fan, and I support them because of Philly. I'll say there are like Philly fans, and then there's Eagles fans. Like Phillies fans are way different than Eagles fans. Way nicer. I mean, I've gone to Bills games, Panthers games, no Lions games in Philadelphia. The things that have been said to me, I know I'm allowed to curse, but I'm not going to repeat them because how foul they are. But when it comes to USC, I mean, they are probably top 3 on teams I hate. As a Notre Dame fan, despise them. Everything.
Well, let's just do this real quick. You're all about lists and hating things. Let's do a top 5 sports teams that you hate.
Oh man! All right,
I'm putting you on the spot here.
All right, are we going like one being the worst, or can it be order? Okay. So I'm gonna go with just put my 5 out there right now. We'll go USC, the Mets, the Patriots. Man, I'll tell you what, the Dolphins have gotten to be up there, which is really awkward because
that's where they're at. That's where your uncle's at right
now. Very
now.
awkward in the house anytime they play. I'll leave them out for family reasons. So we'll go Mets, USC, Patriots, Braves, and man, who's the 5th?
Who's the team in baseball that was cheating all the time?
The Astros. I don't have much hate for them anymore. Like I did. I'm gonna have to say the Dolphins just because it's more so the fan. And I hate Tyreek Hill. He's a disgrace to humanity, in my opinion.
Your uncle's not a wide receiver coach, right?
No, he's not. But he's a special teams coach, so that doesn't make it much better. But I hated Tyreek before the Dolphins, and I will continue to do so.
Yeah, you go to be the team, and you're like, "Here's everyone." You're like, "Get away from me."
I have not gotten to do that. Only time I got to meet the team was, I think it was 2009. I got to go to training camp for the Panthers, and I got to meet all the guys, and it was the coolest thing ever. That's why it's so tough still. I pull for the Panthers, I still wear some of their stuff, but I'm all Bills.
Yeah. So when did you start to pursue your industry, and how did you get started? I know you talked a little bit about the ring and all that. Yeah. So if you want to kind of skip that part, how did you find your opportunity to go to Maryland?
So my girlfriend, she doesn't live in Maryland. She's right on the border of PA, Maryland. And she supported me through all of it, knew I wanted to do this more than anything. And, we just graduated college. She was in her 5th year. I was my senior year. We both graduated. And as soon as my season ended, I started trying to change my body and go from being a regular athlete, kind of just eating whatever for the most part, eating healthy, but eating whatever, to okay, let's kind of get strict here, put on some weight, change up the cardio, start lifting heavier. And she knew that's all I wanted to do. So like as soon as we moved back from college, like I started learning, okay, let's do the rolls, let's do the bump. All that was super easy. Not to brag, it's just being an athlete. And I was like decent at a lot of the basic stuff. And it was just like, how do I get an opportunity? And everything's so expensive. I just graduated college. Things that were close to me are no longer open. And it's like, what the hell am I going to do? And I was just kind of like doing things here and there. And then wintertime of 20, I guess it was going into 2023. I'm out training in the winter. It's cold. The ground is freaking
You're
frozen
taking
solid.
back bumps on a cold wrestling ring?
Yeah, no, not a ring. This is just
Oh.
on the ground and shit.
Oh,
And I'm doing like flips and shit. I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking. I'm just trying to make it, man. I don't know what I'm doing. This is so stupid. And I get a pretty bad concussion. And somehow that conversation went up with her family. And they knew I wanted to be a wrestler. And it like sparked a memory for her stepdad. And he's like, I have a friend whose nephew is a wrestler. And he got his contact and sent it to me. So I messaged him and he's like, yeah, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. Like, we'll stay in touch and you can come out to a show and help us out and go from there. I'm like, awesome. That's in December or January, maybe. I don't hear anything. I'm like, oh, crap. So then meanwhile, I get the ring set up. Like, I'm doing stuff and like, I sent videos of like backyard stuff to promoters and like there's people interested, but I'm like, I'm not actually trained. And like, I respect the business too much to just like go out there, you know?
mm-hmm.
And I like, no lie, like I used to just pray to get an opportunity to train somewhere. And
Now, you never found or learned about the dungeon? Because you're from Reading. Like, Mess's dungeon is not too far from you.
So, and it's so crazy because I used to message or Google everything, like things close by. And anytime I would see the dungeon a few times and it would always say closed. And like at all hours of the day. So I just figured, well, that thing's closed now because it would say the same thing. It would say the same thing for like other schools. I'm not going to name any names.
Yeah.
Used to be around. And then with the Speaking Out movement, they got shut down.
Oh, in Philly. Yeah.
Yes. So it used to say the same thing. So I was like, oh, that sucks.
That's good information to know because people will obviously listen to this podcast who are in the business, and it's just like, well, how did, like, if I'm the dungeon right now, and if I'm anyone who's a part of the dungeon or I'm like a talent there, I'm like, how do we miss this guy? he lives right by us, and he's traveling to Maryland. That's good for them to know. Like, change your business hours on Google.
Right, yeah. Hopefully it's fixed by now. But I used to, like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I used to cry myself to sleep sometimes. Just like I knew that I was meant to be in this business. I knew I was meant to like find a way. It was just like, how am I gonna find this way? And it was in like July, and I'm just like sitting there watching the Phillies, and I was like, I'm gonna text him again and like, hey, what's up? And ask him about some shows. Next week they had a show, so I packed up my car and I drove down to Maryland and to Glen Burnie, and it's for ACW, which is ran by James Ellsworth. And I helped set up, I helped tear down at every ACW show, and most shows, like, people could get in the ring and train, and nobody knew who I was. Again, quiet person, so it was terrifying to drive down there and not know anybody. And I got in the ring and like I impressed some people, and people were like, "Oh, where do you train?" I'm like, "My backyard." And they're like, "Oh, you should come train with us." I'm like, "Where do you guys train?" Sykesville. I look it up, it's 3 hours away. I'm like, I can't do that. Kept on going to shows and helping out, and then I reached my breaking point. I'm like, I think this is where I need to train. Like, I like the people there. They like me. Ellsworth was good to me. And originally he was actually going to send me to Three Legacies in Lancaster. But he's like, add me on Facebook and message me and we'll be in touch. So I did. He never got back to me. I waited a week and I said, all right, I'm going to Sykesville then. And so I hit up the trainer and all that, sickened. And I started the next week. And yeah, it's it's pretty crazy thinking back about it.
Now, when you're now in that situation where you are trained, you're able to go out and spread your wings a bit. Have you thought about going to another school to kind of see what they have to offer to pick and choose a little more things? Because now, like being in the business, obviously meeting so many people, you know about Catch Point, you know about Cheeseburger, you know about the Dungeon and Draven School and Jim Thorpe. Like there's so many schools around you. Like I just feel like it's so good to get a little bit of peace. It's almost like in UFC, right? Like in the video game when you're training for your fighter, you're like, I'm gonna bring this fighter in so I can pick and choose and learn. Like that's how I would be if I was in it, honestly.
For sure. Yeah, no, like I've actually talked to, because like, you meet so many people and so many people you become close to that are training at these places. So like, yeah, I'm going to be doing that. Truthful, I'm just like, I'm kind of, it's so much that happens so quickly, to tell you the truth. Like it hasn't been until recent that I was able to like kind of realize it. For like you get stuck kind of just like rinse and repeat. Like, okay, this week we have these shows. Get the body and mind prepped for this weekend. Okay, drive home. Let's do it again. And like then when you finally have a week off, you're like, oh, you know what? I could go here and learn some of this, and this place is better for this. And so like, yeah, I'm going to be doing all that kind of stuff. And again, also just very blessed with having a ring where I have many people that are around me that I can train with as well. And there's so many things I always tell people, like, you can learn so much just by studying and replicating. And like, I have training dummies and stuff. And again, people that I can train with. So I'm in a very fortunate spot in that sense.
So growing up as an athlete and obviously football, baseball, 2 days, 3 days, just absolutely the conditioning and the mental aspect of being an athlete is something you can't prepare for. Now I've interviewed tons of people who were theater kids who never did a physical activity in their life, went to a wrestling school and got the absolute hell beat out of them and struggled for a long time. Well, you came in pretty prepared. Was there anything about the training that even threw you off that you're like, oh wow, this is like more than I even thought so?
I want to say yes, but I don't think so. I mean, besides like some of the future or like the usual, like, oh wow, hitting the ropes hurts and, the ring's like stiffer than you would expect. But like, I think like my mental strength is one of my biggest strengths. Like I had to go through a lot physically and mentally. I think that's why, I was saying about not wanting to go to college. I think it's the best thing I could have had for my career in the sense of never facing much athletic adversity before, like everything kind of being somewhat easier and like, oh, if I don't get this, I can just teach myself. So like it helped with being able to teach myself how to do some things early on, but then also like my senior year, I was so washed at that point from injuries that I had to deal with failure for the first time, like true failure, and be able to like wake up every day and like still push through. Cause it's so easy when you fail to just kind of give up. Like it like you want to, and I think maybe if I didn't go through that, maybe I would have, given up on myself early and been like, oh, well, it doesn't look like it's meant to be. Let's go get a normal job. And yeah, I don't know. It's also easy when it's like all you've ever wanted to do. It's like, I'm going to find a way. Like,
yeah. So when I first met you at PPW, you go out into your match. I'm like, man, this kid's got a good look. He, like everything about this, like he looks like you have that like that typical, but like the athletic guy look right now. Like you have a mix between that like stand-up comic who's like with that wears the cowboy boots and does a crazy voice. You know what I'm talking about? Like yeah. You look like him and Bryce Harper in the wrestling ring, but like you know what I mean? Like and I'm like, all right, he has a cool look. It's replicating old school 80s wrestling, 70s wrestling, but today's times. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do 5 questions with you. So I bring you in, and you're very like to yourself, reserved, quiet, humble. And I was like, oh, all right. So it's going to be one of those situations where it's a really, really good body, really good athletic, but maybe the character is not there yet. Like the confidence isn't there for the character. And we did the 5 questions and we didn't really talk. Like, I didn't really, because I didn't really see your character during that match because you were kind of just thrown in there. You didn't really flourish as the character yet. Yeah. And and you're like, I forget what question I asked. I think I asked you a nerdy question, and you're like, I don't watch that. I'm not a virgin. And I was like, oh, he got me. Right? I was like, all right, so I just rolled with it. And now hearing you're a giant nerd is even better. But like, like even that aspect, like I thought for sure maybe because of like there's always that, like it's like when you build a video game character, right? Because now we are nerds and virgins, right?
Yeah.
But you get like athleticism, you get this, and then your charisma's fucking 2, and you're like, shit, like you even have that aspect down. Like for you to be your personality and then to exude this heel persona, like is very impressive.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. You guys like, all right, look at this guy. Yeah. So where did the character come from? Where did the look come from? And how did you land the name Sugar?
I'm gonna be like, I'm not saying this towards you because you're interviewing, and but my least favorite question I get from like promoters is, what's your character? Because I can't explain it because I don't have one. Like, I think athletes go to a different frame of mind when they're competing, and like I was always very intense while playing, and I think I just kind of go into a different frame of mind, and we all kind of have like that other side of us that isn't really you, but like with my family and stuff, I make jokes and stuff. Like I make fun of my family, but like I don't make fun of anybody more than I make fun of myself, if that makes any sense. So it's like I can kind of channel some of that and put it out there. And I don't know, man. Like I think part of it is like you said about the comedian aspect. Like, you know how like comedians all have like they had issues in their life that kind of leads to them. Like I think I have some of that with like getting bullied and shit like that. Like, oh, you know what? Kind of fuck these people. Like, these people. I don't have to do anything to get to it, but it's just I'm standing there getting ready to go out, and it just kind of brings me back to being in like high school or middle school or elementary school where I couldn't walk through the hallways because I felt so insecure. And it's like these people are the fucking reason that it was that way. And,
so you almost you're almost like that justified heel. Like I am the way I am because you made me this way.
Yeah,
and like that athletic side of you, like I've never really felt like I know when we line up on the line face to face, I'm better than you in every aspect. That physically, athletically, I'm better mentally prepared. I'm physically prepared. I don't care who you are across from me. I am better than you, and that's kind of what you exude. You have that athletic mindset.
Yeah, it's like it's real in that sense. Like pitching wise, like my best season, I went into it and I was like, I'm going to mentally defeat every single hitter before they get into the box. Like, I'm going to talk my shit. And it was because of wrestling. Like, even as a kid, like, to me, it was like, I have no problem putting things out into the world, putting it into existence and, like, calling my shot. Because in my head, I'm like, worst comes to worst, I fail and it's hilarious. Like, I don't have a problem with being laughed at in that sense. And my thought in that specific season was, I'm going to talk so much shit. If I back it up, I'm going to be the baddest motherfucker out there. And if I don't, they're going to laugh at me, but I'm going to get them back the next time. And it was my best season. I only complete games. I didn't lose a single game. And I fully believe it's because I put everything out there and I got into people's heads. And while you're not necessarily trying to do that in wrestling, you're trying to get into other people's heads. Not your
Is that common in baseball? Like where you're talking shit to the pitcher?
No, like it was, people didn't like it. Like I think my coaches didn't always love it. I mean, I used to do the Billy strut, I'm not going to say the person's name, but the walk.
Oh, okay. I mean? The Connor /
yes, the Vin. Connor walk.
Yeah,
yes,
the Connor walk.
Anybody else's walk.
They're making a documentary on Netflix about him. He's all right.
I used to kind of play up a character then, and I feel like that was almost preparation for what I'm doing now. And then in terms of look, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I see something, I like it, I just do it. Like I don't have a style, you know what I mean? Like sometimes hey, the tassels look cool, I'm gonna wear the tassels, and then I just moved to trunks because it's one, they're cheaper, and I'm like, I have nice legs, so I'm gonna wear trunks now. And I don't know, I just kind of do shit and see if it sticks. Yeah,
you have that old school vibe. I think the trunks, I think your look is exactly what it needs to be. Like I said, when I watched you wrestle over the weekend, I was like, holy shit, you look like when they recast the Von Erichs and the Iron Claw. Like you're a good looking kid, but you have a Von Erich body. You know what I mean? Like the Von Erichs, I don't care what anybody says. Everyone says they were heartthrobs. They look like mutants. I love them, but like, you know what I mean? I think they're all amazing. I love Texas Tornado. He was my favorite growing up. But he always had I'll just say they had a unique look. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then they cast them in the movie and they get like all megastar beautiful people to cast them. I was like, right, you're a recast. You're a movie Von Erich. Yeah.
Right. No, I appreciate that though.
So the beginning stages is finding yourself. We kind of went through some of that. Is there anything else you want to touch on, like in those early stages of like going? So to me, you showing up at a wrestling show or a venue or a school completely by yourself alone, that's like that's a ballsy move. Like not many people even go to the local bar by themselves, let alone to a place where you have to you're trusting to give your body to somebody and nobody there. Like it's intimidating.
I never did anything like that before. I still look at baseball as if I failed. Like I didn't go all in with it.
You're like Macho Man.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much Macho Man. No, he was way better than I was.
Broke all of his bats. He goes, they don't want me no more. No,
right. I just I think a lot of it to blame is because of wrestling. Like I was such a wrestling fan that it's all I could really think about. Like I'm staying up to watch the G1 every night instead of getting good nights of sleep before a start. But I didn't take the risk of going out to showcases and stuff at colleges that were like big schools that were interested in me because I was like, I don't know anybody there. I don't want to show up. Like that's too weird. And I told myself I'm not going to let anything like that happen again. And that's kind of why I sent that text because maybe that's what it was. I'm watching baseball. I have no idea. There was some higher power that was telling me you got to do this. You told yourself, you made a promise, you're not going to give up. You're not going to
take it in your own hands. You can't wait for it to come to you.
Exactly. Yep. And I mean, it's one of the best decisions I ever made because I met, people that I love and I got opportunities that I was waiting for. And I'm so thankful that I did.
What have been some setbacks or adversities you ever overcome? You said you went through a lot mentally that kind of shaped you into the person you are now. What are some of the ones that really stick out to you that you think really molded you to who you are?
So nothing so far really in wrestling. I mean, there's some things my shoulder's all fucked up from baseball, and not getting surgeries when I was supposed to. So that's been a setback in the sense of I entered wrestling not healthy, which is the worst way to enter it. My knees were already shot and my shoulders.
I mean, to be fair, most big wrestlers all were injured football players who transferred over to wrestling. Yeah.
Right. It's just not the most ideal thing.
No, not at all.
I think we all enter it pretty messed up, but then I just wasn't in a good, my body was already so fucked up. It is what it is. I'm fine, but just getting hurt my junior year. So my junior year was COVID. So actually going back to my sophomore year, I got hurt in the fall, missed the entire fall, get back for the spring, doing pretty good. Shoulder comes out in the middle of an inning. Put it back in, finish the inning. That ends up being my last inning of the season because COVID hits a couple days later.
Were you a pitcher?
I was a pitcher, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I don't go back to school until the winter or the spring semester the next year, my junior year, because of COVID, and come back being looked at as one of the top starters on the team. I get hurt again. Miss the entire season. I end up not getting surgery and just trying to rehab, and that fucks up my entire senior year where I'm just.
Now, when you said injured, was it something that you're injured and you're fighting through it, and someone had to tell you can't do it anymore? Because the mindset of an athlete, I remember I twisted my ankle, and my ankle was the size of a grapefruit, and I wasn't trying to show anybody. I was a kicker, and it was the only thing I did as a football player, running by the cat, and. It took someone being why are you limping, or why are you babying it? I they made me take my shoe off, and they're like, yeah, you're not playing. I was like most athletes are not I'm not playing today because I'm injured. No, someone has to drag you off the field or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no, mine. So my shoulder, it still does. It actually happened this weekend. It'll just like pop in and out of its socket, and
Same. My left shoulder
yeah,
does it. I got sick of going to the hospital. I learned how to put it in myself.
yep, yeah.
When
So
yours pops out, does it go out the back, out the front, or down?
either or, it'll. It's at the point where it's like it'll happen in my sleep. Like I'll wake up and I'm in so
Yikes.
much pain. I'm like, oh shit, my shoulder probably popped out last night. But it's like because of how fucked up it is, it'll just go right back in. So it's
Yeah.
like before I used to have, you're holding your wrist, all that.
Hold
shit.
your wrist, bring it
I
up,
could
grab
just
your
do a little
elbow,
one of these.
pop it. Yeah.
I could just do one of these and we're good to go. So, but it kept on happening. And then I ended up tearing my labrum, and I had some nerve damage. So I just threw a pitch in practice, and ball went like 20 feet away from where I was supposed to, and I dropped down in pain, which like it just happened, and I'm screaming, and it popped out, tore it, all that kind of shit. And they like everybody's telling me just get the surgery. My own family's telling me to get the surgery, but the doctor told me like, oh yeah, maybe if you rehab it good, all this, you could come back without the surgery and it'll heal on its own. And of course I rushed it, and I fucked up because it did not get better. But
Yeah.
you learn things now, and I wouldn't do it again. So if I get back into that situation, I know what I will do.
Yeah. So this question is going to be, I feel like I already know the answer to this one, but do you feel like you hit your peak, or do you feel like you're getting close to a point where you feel like you hit that aha moment in wrestling?
Not even close. Yeah, not even close. I do feel like I'm starting to figure some things out. I felt that last weekend at PPW. I kind of felt almost the most comfortable I ever did before.
I thought you were bumping like a TV like
I appreciate that.
Like I said, I watch a lot of people, and you're like obviously it wasn't your night. You didn't win that match, but
I did.
I won. Oh, you did. It's right. You did win. It's right. You did win.
Yeah, I won that one.
But you were down a lot of it. Like you were the one taking a lot of the heat, and like you look like a TV ready person. Like I'm just being honest. Like your bumps, your cells, everything was clean. Like it looked really good.
Thank you. I take a lot of pride in that. Like to me, I have no excuse for it not to, because again, when I was trying to learn how to wrestle on my own, there's only so much I could do at that point. And I was like, I'm going to make every single bump I take look like $1 million if I can. And I would just go out there for hours and bump and pretend I'm taking bumping feeds. And now like I do feel like it's paying off, because funny enough, like as kids, we all love the moves. And still, like, I love watching guys like Will Ospreay that can do all the great moves. But the people that have been somewhere, they see all that kind of stuff all the time. And, like, they're impressed by it. But, like, the compliments I get a lot of the times from those people are the bump and feeds, the comebacks, like how sharp those things look. So I think stuff like that is important, and
that's what made me a Sean fan. He would get his ass kicked most of his career because he wasn't a big guy, and he would bump, and his facial expressions, and he would hit the turnbuckle and fly up over, and like Ric Flair, great bumper. Like you were like, yo, he's gonna finally lose. He's getting his ass kicked. He's selling the loss, and you wanted him to lose because he was cocky. Yeah. And then Sean, the kip up, the flying forearm, the fight back, the 2 or 3 his bumping sold him to be that underdog hero when he finally would win. And it was, and I see a lot of that in you. Just keep it simple, sell to your opponent, facial expressions. It's all there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
What are some key moments so far you've accomplished at this point?
I think probably the highlight is getting to share the ring with Enzo Amore. I felt like it was a big moment because that happened in June. So I was March, April, May. I was less than 4 months in the ring at that point when I got to be in there. And
you're probably just as good as him at that point.
I'm not going to say anything.
I love you, Enzo, but your mouth is better than your in ring.
Yeah, I got banged up pretty good in that match. But I just remember telling my family and my girlfriend and some friends, like, I'm going to learn a lot about myself in this match, because I felt, to tell you the truth, and you could ask friends of mine, like I felt nothing when that match got announced. And I was like, that sucks because young me would be going crazy. Like I have an Enzo shirt, like I cut it up,
I
and
was a huge Enzo
yeah.
mark, yeah.
And I felt nothing. So I'm like, this is good and it sucks. Like it's good because I know I'm locked in, like I know I belong in there. It sucks because it's like, oh, I want to be able to enjoy that. And I told everybody, like, I'm gonna either sink or swim here, like I'm gonna be in that ring and he's doing his whole soft thing, and I'm either gonna be perfectly fine, or I'm gonna be like, oh shit, that's Enzo Amore. And I mean, he did the soft thing on me using my nickname and all that shit, and I felt perfectly fine. And I felt at that point like, yeah, I do belong. Like I can do this. Getting into PPW is a big thing. I got there very quickly, and a lot of it because of Travis. People see like Travis and I at PPW and other places, and they think that might be a joke, but like we're legitimately close like that. And he's gotten me into he got me into 5-star in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, where I wrestled Enzo, and that helped get me to PPW. So just stuff like that, getting to share a card with guys like Matt Riddle, who he's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. He just is. I'm not talking anything personal. I don't know enough to make judgments or anything. All I know
He's
is
going through it, we'll say.
Yeah, and you know what? That I hope things go very well for him. All I can say is when he's been in the locker room with us, he's been nothing but a great guy.
Unfortunately, I never had an opportunity. I never worked with him in the locker room.
Yeah, no, he's been nothing but great. But getting to share locker rooms with legends and current guys that are at the top of the game. So I've been very lucky in that sense.
I mean, even the PPW locker room, I'm not sure how long you've been there, but like Brian Johnson is a wealth of knowledge to pick. VSK is so criminally underrated. Facade is someone you could pick the brain of. Clutch Adams, very, very talented. Like we talk about like a hybrid wrestler who can sell, who can bump, who can heel work. Heel work is someone I would sit with him and be like, what do I have to do to get a shred of what you have? Like very good heel. Like
he's so, and like you said, that locker room, like I've been in some very good locker rooms in such a short period, but like talent wise at PPW, like I don't know if there's many better. Like truthfully, I'm not just saying that.
The youth in that locker room too. You, Dio Bando, Nolan Pierce, Ricky Price, Junie Underwood, like that. The youth in that locker room is incredible.
I mean, tag team wise too, nice and smooth. There's so much talent. Like guys that are, I don't want to say
the Brothers Gray, Big
Brothers Gray, yeah, and like a guy like Sam Adams, who
veteran
done some shit, like
I told Sam too. I said, you're that person now. If I was booking, if I needed someone to hit that extra gear to like put them to that next spot, you put them against you, and they're gonna make or break. Like you're gonna put them through their paces.
I was supposed to wrestle him in a singles back at in Williamsport for 5-star a month before they shut down. We were supposed to have a singles, and then some plans changed because of injuries. I think it was injuries for somebody, and matches got changed around, so I only got to do a 6-man with them. But like, there's just, you look at that locker room, like there's so many guys that I want to wrestle there. Just because
Paul has been nothing but singing your praises. Like I remember when I first walked in, he was like, wait till you see this kid. There was 2 kids that like he was drooling at the mouth for me to see, like coming back to PPW, because I was commentary there for a while. I met a lot of my names through PPW. I'm very grateful that PPW gave me a lot of opportunities, but I went through some personal stuff, and then that seat got filled, and it's really no future sign for me coming back at commentary, but I still go and support because I love the people there and I love the product. But you and Baylor were 2 big names that he was like, yo, you should see these 2 kids. I think they're like they'll be on TV, I think, soon. Like they're that good. Yeah. So Paul's been very, very big on. Same with BP. Brian's been like, yo, this kid's unbelievable.
Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate. I love being there. It's actually the closest place that I have to travel to. It's only an hour from where I live, so that is just, I mean, it's a great environment. The building itself, the productions, it's second to none. Like in terms of indie wrestling, there's just, again, and there's so much talent. Like there's so much good there, and like I think there's going to be a big boom coming up for it, to tell you the truth.
Well, I think so as well. I think they're at a point now where they're still ironing out some future storylines and really getting things worked in and finding out who they got and when they got them. There's so much more to wrestling that people don't realize.
Right. Yeah.
And I get to pick Brian's brain all the time and like, here's what I'm thinking, and I'm like, oh, you're onto something. This is going to be good. And I love Paul. I think Paul is a great owner, a great promoter. But I've been telling him for years. I said I think BP is one of the most brilliant minds in professional wrestling I've got to work with, and I think he's unbelievable. And I'm glad someone gave him the ability to showcase that, because I think his storylines and his vision are helping with, him and Paul working together, making some dope storylines.
Yeah, I think things are going to really pick up soon.
Yeah. Who are some influences or role models you have in the industry? You said about your business, your selling, the way you go about things, the way you do things. Who do you channel?
So Eddie Guerrero is a big one. But I would say probably my number one's Kenny Omega.
Okay.
That
makes sense. The cleaner haircut. All right.
Yeah. See, that's not intentional. And that's one of the problems is when I tell people that, they start to like.
Well, don't you have like a quarter dye too? Like.
Yeah, I dye my hair. Yeah. That is actually more of a Seth Rollins thing, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Than Kenny. But
I love Seth.
The curly hair and kind of a mullet is I get the.
Well, there's a guy who comes to PPW who essentially like Seth lived in his house for a lot of his young career, right?
Who's that?
Kerry Silkin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
If Kerry comes up to you and says you're doing good, listen to him, because everyone that you're watching on TV came through him.
I wish I met. I can't believe I didn't. So my first show at PPW, I'm sitting there. And Travis comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Kerry's here. Make sure you go say hi to him." I was like, "Who?" He's like, "Kerry Silkin." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So like, I obviously know who Kerry Silkin is, but I'm like, "There's no way that Kerry Silkin's here." He's like, "Ring of Honor." I was like, I like my body dropped, because I'm like, that man is responsible for like my childhood, and for everything that we have today. And
WWE, AEW right now, their top stars all came from Ring of Honor.
Just seeing him every month, and like it's unbelievable. And a few months back, before a match, he came up to a few of us and gave some advice. And it's like, we're like 20 minutes from our match happening, so it's like you take it, you kind of move on. It was like that night I'm laying in bed trying to fall asleep and I can't, and I'm like, dude, Kerry Silkin just gave you advice. Like, can you fucking believe that? Like, it's unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable. But
when I was going through my divorce and I was going through my sad point, and I was at a show in Hamburg, the very last show at the Hamburg Fieldhouse, and I was like trying to enjoy it, because like it's the last time someone's ever going to do commentary in that building. It's historic. It's like old, like every legend has wrestled in that building. Right. And I did the show, and then like about intermission time, Kerry comes up to me and he's like, and he pulls me aside. He goes, what do you posting on Facebook? I was like, sometimes I get vulnerable and I put myself out there just to let some people know they're not alone. He's like, you're too talented to be a fucking pussy. Like, get your shit together. You're too fucking good to let people win. Like, get your shit together and start dominating. And I was like, you got it, Kerry.
God, it's unbelievable just seeing him there. And
but
he's a big part of why the guys that inspired me were able to inspire me. Guys like Kenny, the Bucks, like the Elite. I said about Washington being the Elite as a kid, but like they were a big reason I didn't give up, because they had weird ways of getting into the business. So it was like, hey, you know what? I don't have to go about it the way everybody else did. Like, that's not my story. Like, they have their own weird stories. Guys like them changed wrestling for me when I got bored of it. And Seth Rollins, Eddie, the Bucks, Kenny, AJ, even Ospreay, Punk, of course. I try to take a little bit of everything from everyone. Even guys that maybe I'm not like the biggest fan of. Like, if I can find something about them that I can maybe change around a little bit and find a way to utilize it, I will.
Absolutely. Goals you have set for yourself personally or in your industry?
I mean, I want to be a multimillionaire. Like, I'm not in it to fuck around, to tell you the truth. Like, the biggest thing, I want to be happy and make good money. But like, I don't know. There's so much like I love the guys that are out there doing stuff on top of wrestling. Like, and I don't mean necessarily like doing the movies and stuff, because like we see so many guys do that. I'm not really interested in that kind of stuff. Like, I'm talking about like guys like Swerve, who is like, that dude's a star. You know, like he's out there doing so much shit, and like that's what I want to do. I want to go to Japan. Like, my heart's there. I want to. My biggest dream in terms of wrestling goals, like not monetary wise, is I want to main event the Tokyo Dome.
Well, there's two schools I can tell you right now that just recently sent people on excursions, and that's the Battlefield or Battle Club
Battlefield.
in not Office, the one in New York that Rembrandt and stuff go to.
Yeah, I think that's
Rembrandt, Sammy. Right? That school, like Mashi just did a Japanese tour. Like, that's a school I would dip your toe into, and I believe Three Legacies just did an excursion where they sent some people out. And I mean, if you want to find the best way to go to Japan, there's no one better than Cheeseburger. Like, he's been there. Like, Jushin Thunder Liger is his dude. You know what I mean? Like, like there's avenues in that realm in this little tiny Northeast scene that you can get that done.
It's pretty crazy. It's inspiring too to be around people that have done it and share locker rooms with people and stuff like that. I mean, Brothers Gray are going to Japan coming up.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was saying to somebody the other week, I think it was last week, like, knowing that I got to work them one time. And
they're super early too. There's no reason why you can't. Like, they're not as far. They're about the same time as you, if maybe a little more. And they're going to date Australia and Japan. So it's only what you limit yourself to.
Exactly. Like, I think it's important to have like your goals. Like, I know some people that are like, I want to go to WWE and that's it. And it's like, more power to you. I've never really thought about something like that, to tell you the truth, just because it's not really the thing that I'm enamored with. Honestly, like, I love the sport aspect of pro wrestling. I think that's why I fell in love with strong style. But like, I think it's one of those where, again, I'll find a way. Like, I'm not going to give up. I will find a way one way or another.
I believe you'll get it done. I have all the faith in the world in you. Yeah. So outside of wrestling, what are some hobbies or interests you have?
I love video games. I love cooking. I love watching. I'm not even going to bring up the sport thing after this, because like, I'm a diehard sports fan. Like, we don't have to get into that anymore. But
are you only playing sports games, or what are we playing over there?
Lately, I've pretty much only played college football 25.
I'm working on making a 1-star school a 5-star school.
Oh yeah, of course, for sure.
Go Temple.
That's gonna be a tough one, but a lot of sports games. Pretty much like sports, and then I love going back and playing old Star Wars games from like my childhood. I'm a massive Star Wars nerd. It's almost unhealthy. I think I could tell you more about like lore and history of Star Wars than I could like the actual world, and I'm not necessarily.
You know more about Star Wars politics than real politics?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I can't tell you shit about it. I'll tell you what I think something funny that somebody said. I love the memes. But when people ask me about like legit politics, I'm like, hey, I can talk to you about Palpatine. Like, I don't know anything else though.
Who's your? All right, another Stofko top five Star Wars characters.
All right,
that you like, that you don't. We're gonna make you positive for this list.
Okay, I'm gonna go Darth Maul. So actually, no, he's not number one. Anakin Skywalker's number one.
Okay.
I mean, the greatest, like, to me, like the greatest story.
I feel like this list is gonna be very heel heavy.
Probably. Oh, okay, I'm gonna go Anakin 1, and that's counting Vader. You know.
Yeah.
I'm going Palpatine 2, and I think Palpatine / Sidious is the greatest villain in cinema, because there is nothing good about that person. Like, he is just evil. I'm reading these books. You're gonna get me on a tangent. As a kid, this dude is causing car crashes and walking away just like laughing and shit. Like, he's a horrible person. So Anakin, Palpatine. I'm gonna go Mando. Mando's up there. Maul. I'm trying to see like out of some figures that I got. Maul. And then I'll throw in Luke.
Okay,
we'll get 5.
you missed the best possible Sith Lord of all time, Jar Jar Binks. You know,
I'm a
are
big
you in the
Jar Jar
camp that Jar Jar's a Sith?
No.
You ever see that
But I love
theory?
the theory. Oh my god,
Yeah,
of course.
where he's whispering.
What'd you say?
When the one scene where he's whispering, his mouth's moving, and the people think he's like channeling through someone else.
I legitimately love Jar Jar Binks though. Like my girlfriend and I are Jar Jar. Like I love the prequels when people hated the prequels. I'm just like
I don't like the prequels. I think they're terrible.
I love them. Like
I hate them.
do. Like I'll say this: when people tell me they don't like them, I don't argue them because I think a lot of where I love the prequels are through outside material, like the books, the Clone Wars, comics, shit like that. Like I think it ties everything into one. Because unlike I don't like the sequels, so like if somebody tells me they don't like the prequels, I'm like, hey, I get it. I know people that love the sequels. I don't like it. I got no problems with it. I just love Star Wars.
I like the originals. The prequels are not my thing, and I seen all but the last one of the new trilogy. I guess I didn't see the last one yet. And I haven't watched a second of any of the TV shows. Like I appreciate Star Wars, but I'm not a Star Wars diehard.
Yeah, I get that. I don't because I'm such a fan, but I can respect it. Like,
listen, I do a lot of movie reviews. Maybe we can sit down and we can do the franchise of Star Wars together.
I am so down for that.
You want to be my Star Wars guy?
Dude.
Do we watch it in chronological? I'm not watching all the anime and stuff. That's too much.
No,
we'll just do movies. Yeah.
But I think my request is that we have to watch it 1 through 6. I think
the prequels, then the original.
Yeah. So my girlfriend never watched Star Wars until we were together, and now she's like diehard, like my level. But I made her watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because I'm like, there's too many good twists that come with the prequels if you haven't seen the originals, Anakin turning into Vader and all that. Like the only
the Anakin Vader story is definitely the biggest highlight of the whole thing.
It was like fun having her watch episode 3 and not knowing something's gonna happen, knowing Vader's somehow Anakin. Like I don't know, I'm definitely down for that though.
All right, well we'll set it up. Words of encouragement for someone maybe getting into something they care about or they love.
Man, like if you love it, like it shouldn't feel like it's always going to feel at times like a job, but like you should have the moments where it clicks and it's like, this is what I've always wanted to do. Like if you truly love something, you're going to find a way to make things happen. Like I loved baseball playing it, but I love wrestling way more. And I know that because I'm willing to do things that I would never do before, such as put myself out there. Like you're going to push through things that you don't think you can push through. Even something is like the drives. Like if we're talking about somebody that wants to become a wrestler, like I hate driving, but man, I will lock myself in a car and drive for as long as I need to get to somewhere.
I hate driving by myself. That's the worst.
So I don't know. Like sometimes I like it because I can just put on whatever I want. Like it depends. Like it depends on who I'm driving with. But like I'm not near many people, like so I drive by myself almost all the time. But
that's the worst part about being in art. Like we're probably 30-45 minutes from each other, like because I'm in like the School County area, so like it's us then Reading, but right. I'm the same boat. No, like the only one who really is by me is like Andy Header. Like it's me, Andy Header, and Brian are like the only guys in our immediate little circle, and everyone's like further out.
Oh, it's the worst. It's like the people I want to rock, like Trav,
Precious. Like, Precious is a possible kid too, so he's
okay. Yeah. Like I've only driven to 2 shows with Trav, so it's like, and then like some of my other best friends, I'm not going to name any, but like some of them live hours away. It's like, oh, I'm never going to get to go to a show.
Travis blows my fucking mind. Blows my mind. How he just switched that character on, and then you talk to him outside the character and like, what? That's how you actually sound? Like,
completely different people.
And just like his facial expressions and everything changes when he's not there. Like it's beautiful. He's very good. He's very good.
It is something else. It is. He makes me laugh all the time.
Yeah, he's very, very talented. Yeah. What are you grateful for? Are you currently happy?
Everything. I mean, my family, my girlfriend, my pets, my friend, like. There's like so much that you can always be upset about. Like I want to make more money. I want to get more bookings. Like I think about that stuff more than I ever think about how grateful I am for things. But like the fact that I get to wake up and be under a roof and like have food to eat, and the fact that I'm able to wrestle, like at times it didn't feel like I was gonna be able to wrestle. So like
Lily just walked by. You should see the shirt she's wearing. Despicable.
oh no.
Yeah, come show him. Let's see what you think about this. Let's get a Dan take.
No.
It's his number one on the list.
It's a Ricky Price shirt.
Oh my god. It's also bullshit that we never got to wrestle. We were supposed to wrestle and this big deal and it never even
I'm sure it'll happen very soon.
Yeah, it will. I'm gonna kick his head in. But I like Ricky Cleater Jr. He seems like a good guy.
Yeah, I just seen Ricky Cleater this weekend. It's very honored to finally meet him.
I don't know why people boo him. I think he's a good guy.
I hate country, but I like him. He's all right.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
But no, I'm very grateful at my family, the best support system. Like they got to all come to PPW, and like that's the one place they really get to watch me wrestle at. My girlfriend's amazing. Her family, my friends, I've met some of my best friends. Actually, my best friends have come through wrestling, whether it be other wrestlers or people that I met because of being a fan before I even got into the business. So just so thankful for all of them.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming out of character a little for me, and it means the world. You have an amazing story. Your drive is inspiring. You're inspired me up, and every time I do an interview, you're saying you pick and choose from a little bit everyone in your industry, and I do the same thing in my interviews. I just these conversations motivate and inspire me to keep chasing my dreams and do what I do, and I'm very thankful that I'm getting this interview before you blow up. So when you become your mega millionaire and you're on TV, don't forget me. All right.
I got time for you anytime.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And listen, I'm down. We'll do some Star Wars stuff.
For sure. Just let me know. I'm always down for that kind of
stuff. Just booked Kit Raff that we're going to do the entire Halloween movie franchise. So.
Oh man, I'm going to have to check that. I have never seen Halloween, so I'm going to watch them.
Watch along with us and then listen to us review it.
Perfect. I'm going to do that.
So much fun. Me and Lily are about to record a Beetlejuice one probably tomorrow night. So we're recording a bunch pre-stuff, and then we're actually going back and redoing for Tornado Tag because me and Lily I'm gonna because Lily's only watched wrestling about a year and a half now. She's brand new to everything. She's completely new to this, and we're gonna go back and rewatch all the stuff on the High Tension Network, the Camp Leapfrog stuff. So we're gonna go back and redo all the Camp Leapfrog shows.
Awesome.
If you had a match to suggest or a show or a storyline that for Lily, what would it be?
Oh man. So one match or one storyline?
It could be either one.
One match. That is such a tough question.
While you're thinking, the first match I made her, so I took her to an independent show, and then we got back. She's like, I think I'm into this. And then I had her watch Kenny versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy in that triple threat for the tag team, for the world title.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's going to be really telling to find out who her favorite wrestler is, because it's easy to become a Pac and a Kenny fan. And I was like, but if you fall in love with Orange Cassidy, then you're into the character aspect, and I could mold you. And she fell in love with Orange Cassidy. She's cosplay as him 4 times. She met him.
I've seen her, yeah.
Yeah, she's met him like 2 or 3 times now. So
awesome.
Yeah, she that's her favorite.
All right, so I don't know if she's seen it, but I'm going to give the one that I accidentally showed my girlfriend for her first match. And it's Kenny versus Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 11.
Okay. Kenny Okada.
It's my favorite match of all time. I don't know, naming those 4 matches is like picking your favorite kid to me.
Yeah.
Like those changed my life. But I feel like that match, that and then Jericho the next year at Wrestle Kingdom, like changed the landscape of wrestling as a whole. But I feel like Kenny Okada, like people knew New Japan, but like that kind of changed the wrestling world.
Awesome.
So I'll go with that.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for your time. Anytime, man, this platform's open. If you ever see a topic on or something you want to come talk about on Tornado Tag, like you said, you're a fellow podcaster. You're more than welcome to come and join us. Movie reviews. My platform's open to you, so just hit me up.
I will absolutely do that.
Take it easy. Well, that'll do it for 5 questions with ABJ Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you check out the links below for myself and my guest. We'll put your social medias down there. If you have your online merch pages, definitely go and support that. Show him love. Come see him at local shows. He'll be at PPW on
October 12th, I believe.
Yeah, I think I'm booked the same day as PPW, so I might not be able to make that one. But October 12th, PPW, they do a great job. And just follow PPW on all social media and follow him so you can go see him at all the shows. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We'll see you next time. We're out of here.